Hey guys, welcome to the fourth mini lecture on muscles. What we are looking at here is a muscle cell up top. So up top there we do have a muscle cell. This guy right here is a muscle cell. And the most predominant component of the muscle cell's interior is one of these, which is a myofibril. And we met those last time. There's lots of myofibrils. Myofibrils contain the contractile machinery, the actin and the myosin. And if we zoom in and magnify a myofibril, we'll see it. So each one of these horizontal blue lines here is an actin filament. It's called the thin filament as well. Each one of these horizontal blue lines, each of these guys, I'm going to clutter this whole thing up. All of these blue lines are actin filaments. Now, we also have myosin in this myofibril. All of these thicker red lines, all of these guys are myosin filaments. And they're called the thick filament. And what you're going to notice is that there is a pattern, there is an arrangement to these guys. We are going to have a region from here to here that is only thin filament. That region is called the I band. Then we're going to have a region from one end of the thick myosin filament all the way to the other end. That region is called the A band. There it is down there. So I band, just actin. A band is from one edge to the other edge of the myosin. And in that A band, there is going to be a region of overlap right there, then a region of just myosin, so in between those two lines right there, then another region of overlap. The region of just thick filament, just myosin, is called the H zone. And then over here, we have another I band. This area right here is another I band. All right, so these I and A bands are what's responsible for the striations. If I look at my muscle cell, I can see its striations. That dark right there is an A band. The light thing next to it is an I band. And then there's another A band. And I'm getting kind of crowded with my arrows here, so hopefully you see what I'm saying. Now, a couple more things. The thin filaments, the actins, are stabilized by this zigzaggy protein called a Z disc. So this zigzaggy guy right here is a Z disc. It stabilizes the actin filaments, the thin filaments. That's a Z disc. Now notice I have another Z disc because over here I have another I band where I have just my thin actin filaments. And the distance from one Z disc to the next, this distance right here, is called a sarcomere. And that is the unit of contraction. So on my screen, on my picture, it is on my screen, yeah. From here to here is one sarcomere. That is where contraction occurs. And if this one sarcomere right here contracts, well, the sarcomere next to it is going to contract, and the one next to it, and so on. And every sarcomere in this myofibril is going to contract. And every sarcomere in this myofibril is going to contract. And then the whole muscle cell is going to contract. Pause that, replay that like 8 times, okay? One other piece of microanatomy I want to point out. We just did the Z discs a moment ago. There is also a protein that is anchoring the thick myosin filaments. It is this trio right here, that trio of proteins. It's right in the middle of the H zone, and it's known as the M line. All right, so now we've got all of the components of the myofibril. Okay? So be sure you know what a sarcomere is. And we have to know what a sarcomere is because sarcomeres are the sites of contraction. And sarcomeres make up my myofibrils. Myofibrils make up my muscle fiber. So if I can see how a sarcomere contracts, I'm going to see how myofibrils contract. And if I can see how myofibrils contract, I'm going to see how my whole muscle fiber contracts. All right, wow. Let's go on. Here I have another picture of a skeletal muscle fiber. A little bit different artwork here. And it's kind of interesting. We're actually going to come back to this one quite a bit. Here I have the outside of my muscle cell, the sarcolemma, right there. I have a bunch of myofibrils in here, including one that I see sticking out. And we labeled it labeled the thin and thick filaments on it. So we're going to have sarcomeres on this guy as well. And what I want to point out right now is that there is something wrapping around every myofibril. This guy right here. That blue thing, there's one of these blue things on every single myofibril. And these blue things, each of them is part of something called the Sarcoplasmic Reticulum, which is like the ER, the endoplasmic reticulum of the muscle fiber. The Sarcoplasmic Reticulum has one big job as far as you and I are concerned. The Sarcoplasmic Reticulum is going to store calcium ions. It is going to store calcium ions. Now, as we're going to find out, calcium ions are super important for contraction. Well, this isn't going to surprise us. The calcium is super important for contractions. The calcium is in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Contractions happen in the myofibrils, and the sarcoplasmic reticulum surrounds them. All right, we'll come back to this picture later on, I think, / I hope. All right. What I've done here is zoom in on a myofibril. I've zoomed in on my actin and my myosin here. The blue guys, like this blue guy right here, this blue guy right here, all the rest of these blue guys, those are the thin actin filaments. We can see the Z disc. The Z disc is this vertical stretch of protein right here, ziggy-zaggy, that is going to stabilize the thin filaments. From Z disc to Z disc is a sarcomere. We also have an A band visible in here. The A band isn't labeled, so let's label that A band. The A band would be from right here all the way to right here. So there's the A band. From one edge of the myosin thick filament to the other. I'm going to see my couple different things here. I'm going to see my region of overlap. Whoops. Arrow. There we go. My region of overlap right here. Region of overlap here. Another region of overlap here. And then I'm going to have my H zone, which is going to be this area where there's just myosin. And the myosin is stabilized within the H zone by the proteins of the M line. Now, the most important thing for contraction is the overlap. Do me a favor, put the palm of one hand on top of the palm of the other. And then slide your palm over your forearm. The other hand will be going under your forearm. And your elbows come closer together. As you get more overlap, the distance between your elbows gets smaller. It is going to contract. Okay, we'll pick up here in the next mini lecture. I'll see you guys later on. Bye-bye.